All right, so be aware of those things. I think those are very, very important things. Dynamics, you know, again, like, you know, playing just a groove, a simple groove. Think of, you know, how many different ways you can play it, you know, like here. Or with the hi-hat. That's kick drum, more kick drum, whatever, you know. Don't be afraid to like variate and kind of experiment, you know. You know, a very, very important thing is like don't be afraid. If you're gonna mess up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, because some of the most craziest mess ups, some of the greatest things like happen. A lot of people will tell you that they'll like screw up something, and then they'll just, if you're very like quick to hear it and acute to hearing it, you just go with it. You know, there's like countless times like when I'm playing like on a gig and I screw up, and like it becomes like some kind of new lick or new type of thing that I learned, because I'm just like, wow, that was kind of cool. You know, it's kind of cool, and it just keeps it open and exciting, and it keeps it fresh. You know, so you know, and another thing too, you know, for me, what I'm playing here right now is just a basic setup is kicks, you know, kick, snare, mounted tom, 2 floors, you know, 10, 14, and 16. These are maple drums. I, you know, particularly happen to like maple drums. They kind of have a little bit more low end. You know, birch have a little bit more punch. And you know, these are this kind of setup is something that I've been playing for a little while now. I actually add like another 12-inch on there, so I've been like kind of rolling with 2, you know, mounted toms, 2 floor toms. Same kind of cymbal setup. You know, a couple other little things here and there. But again, don't be afraid to mess with the setup. There was a very long period of time where I was playing very busy music with just 3 drums. You know, kick, snare, floor, 2 crashes, a ride, and hi-hats. And that took me out of the comfort zone, so to speak. You know, so if I'm playing some kind of fill, where it's just, you know, but, boom, 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 you know. Well, how am I going to arrange that for just a snare and a tom and a kick drum? You know what I mean? There's a million ways you can do it. It's just a matter of how you think about phrasing it, you know? So it's important, again, if you get comfortable in your, you know, in your setup and you feel that this is cool, this is kind of like, you know, what I'm rolling with now and it feels fine, great, go with it. But then once you get like, you know, oh, I feel like I'm in a rut, because everybody gets in ruts, right? You all kind of like get to a point where you're kind of like, you know, I don't know, like I'm not learning, or I'm just not feeling it, you know? And it could be like one little thing, just besides like, you know, diving into like a book or that sort of thing, you know, or getting together with somebody else. It's just on your own. Try changing the setup around. Try changing sticks. Try different cymbals if you can afford to do it. Different, you know, tension on the pedals. Different seat height. So those sort of things, you know. Those things are very, very key to making you think completely different, and to kind of take yourself out of that box of just being like, well, I'm kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Because we all develop habits. If you can take those away and develop new ones, that's great. All right. Next thing I'm going to kind of get into a little bit, I'm going to try and perform it. Like I said, I went to school. I went to Berkeley for a little while up in Boston, and this was a great experience. I went there for 2 years. Everybody can hear me, right? Okay, I don't need the mic. Okay, cool. I went there for 2 years, and I didn't go there for performance at all. I went there about 13 years ago now, no, 15 years ago. And I went there for music technology, and basically all that really encompassed was a lot of sequencing and that sort of thing. And again, it all kind of had to do with my philosophy of not just being like a dude that just sits down and just plays drums all the time. I wanted, you know, something more, you know, and particularly, you know, for me, what synthesis and music technology is now, it has to do with, you know, what sequencing is like a lot of electronic music, and now, because the technology is so good, I believe, that there's a lot of things in terms of being able to, if you want to do not just drum loops or, you know, like dance music, because that's, I think, a very common misconception with all that. It's just like, oh, you know, the band has like loops going and that sort of thing. That's all great and fine. But the stuff that I'm talking about nowadays is, there's a program you can check out, and it's called the Vienna Symphonic Library, and it's a sample-based program, just like any of these other dance and synth things you hear. But what it is, basically, is basically it's like a symphonic orchestra that they sampled all the sounds, and you can play them on your keyboard. You know, like they sample it. It's really a comprehensive like sample library. And what samples are just basic. They're taking recordings of the equipment, and then they're just digitizing them and then manipulating them so you can play them, you know? So what I did is, with a buddy of mine, we made this whole orchestration. And it kind of comes from the vein of, I'm very, you know, influenced by guys like, you know, Igor Stravinsky, Wagner, guys nowadays like John Williams and Danny Elfman and that sort of thing, but also with like a Frank Zappa like kind of twist, so it's a little zany. There's a lot of odd time signatures kind of being, you know, being passed in there. So this is a lot of it is in, you know, the signature of 5, but there's also like a lot of compound time going on where there'll be like other things where it'll be like, you know, different bars and different ways of phrasing it, things in 15 and, you know, 10/8, that sort of thing. So this is combining like all those elements into this kind of orchestration, and I just wrote it before I went on the road, and I've been on the road for a little while now, so I'm going to try and perform it. I'm going to see what happens. It's been a while, so why not, right? Let's see what happens.